Okay, folks, game 2 will be on the GSTL Crevasse. Okay, and a nice quick transition into game 2. Always nice to see. Dimaga currently down 1 game after NightEnD was able to deal with it quite nicely. Those defensive Psy Storms, in fact, ripping through the Overlord count to the point where they got picked off before they were able to reach him with the Baneling bombs. And here we go, folks. I bring in Dimaga in the blue trunks. He is playing Zerg right here on the GSTL Crevasse versus his opponent NightEnD in the red trunks. He is playing Protoss. NightEnD doing incredibly well right now. He's currently up 1 game in this best of 3 series. He did so in style as well, mixing in the idea of using Psy Storms to stop Overlord drops simply by forcing Dimaga to fly through the Psy Storms. Because of the speed of Overlord, it's very, very difficult for them to actually get out of that. As it turns out, that was extremely effective. He killed off a few and then was able to pick off the rest with Stalker Fire from the ground. NightEnD decides no, actually, he doesn't want it there. He's going to move it 3 centimeters to the left. To be fair, considering the nerf to the Protoss power aura thingy, I suppose that's the technical term for it, that was put in place recently, you've got to be very careful with where you place your pylons. And NightEnD seems to be a perfectionist when it comes to building his base. He built his base extremely well against Dimaga early game in the Metalopolis. I'll have to see what he decides to do right here. Currently on 12 supply. I'd expect to see a gateway go down on about 13. In the meantime, Dimaga can very easily expand if he wants. He's got 2 possibilities. This is a good map for Zerg to do that on because they can take either this space or this space right here. This one obviously is at the back, and some players prefer to leave that until later because it's a good emergency base they can build when they're under a lot of siege. However, you'll notice that Dimaga has gone to build there straight away, and of course it is a little bit risky to open up here. Some players do it, some don't. NightEnD with the gateway coming up right here, just waiting for that to complete, and then we'll see what exactly he decides to do. This opening that he keeps doing with the Void Rays seems to be fantastic. Really, really great play. He's able to do an awful lot of damage with it. We saw White Ra, in fact, do it recently. Not Night Ra, that would be the unholy love child of the two. That's disturbing as hell, good God. Would be one of the best StarCraft players in the world, though, we'll give him that. White Ra will not be pleased with that. Dimaga working on his spawning pool, and we'll see NightEnD has decided to expand as well. Not going for forward fast expansion, because really you don't need to on this map, simply because of the bit at the back right there. Cybernex core now coming down for NightEnD, and both settling in for a fairly lengthy game. Dimaga scouts, finds exactly what he needs, and he also spots the fast expansion as well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Dimaga try and take a 3rd pretty soon. You always want to try and be about 1 base ahead of your opponent if you happen to be playing Zerg. There we go, that's all complete and sorted out. You know, Baneling bombs are probably the most fun thing to watch, but it's really unfortunate that he was able to find a way to deny that. I don't want to play favorites or anything, but I do like seeing Protoss exploding, and Baneling bombs are a great way to make that happen. I'll have to see whether or not Dimaga decides to go for this Mass Queen strategy again. It did help him early on in the game, although I feel maybe the resources were a little bit wasted as we go further on. Looking around and seeing what he can see, which is really not an awful lot. NightEnD isn't one for really early game aggression. Not really too concerned. He's sitting behind that wall quite nicely, and it's nicely walled off as well. And he will have to try and pick at those destructible debris. Little tricky, but doable, because they don't take, well, they're not as durable as the rocks that you usually see on a lot of maps. These things only have 1,000 HP, and they only have 1 armor as opposed to the 3 that you usually find. Evolution Chamber on its way up for Dimaga. You can hardly blame him considering what happened the last game to him. Well, it would be good to get a Spore Crawler or 2, even if he decides not to go for anything. And right now, NightEnD playing incredibly passively. Only a single gateway, focusing entirely on his economy, and let's just see how well that's actually done for him. He is ahead very slightly on probes by 3. Dimaga's doing a good job of keeping up with him, though, and to be fair, he can build an awful lot more drones at any given time. Dimaga droning up very heavily, as you can see right there, but now he's got 10 Zerglings on the way, plus 1 melee attack upgrade coming in as well. Surprised not to see NightEnD really doing anything, honestly. He's just really hanging around. Want to see what his follow-up strategy is actually going to be. 2 more gateways. We'll see if he goes to the 3 gateway like he did last time and then into a Stargate. He does have a pylon going down here, so it means he could be hiding a Stargate in this area, but we will find out shortly. A melee attack would be great for Dimaga as well on its way. And we do have 4 gateways going up. Obviously, it's a little bit late for being... That's 5 gateways on 2 bases. Looking for a lot of mid-game pressure right here, and that'll work just fine. Dimaga tries to run the line, and of course we know what's going to happen there, but he will be able to pick at this destructible debris, and he might even be able to bring it down. He'll take a little bit of damage here, but honestly, the sentry's not really out of range, and he's only got 1 Stalker. Already destructible debris down under 300 HP, falling rapidly, trying to give himself a nice open corridor to attack with. Lair upgrade is on its way for Dimaga, as NightEnD currently sits on what looks to be going through to a 5 gateway. In fact, that's more than that. It's actually a 6 gate. And he doesn't have any other tech of any description. Looking for mass gateway units right now, and it should do the job. There's nothing wrong with it. However, I have a feeling that Dimaga's going to start getting that tech advantage pretty soon. He's got that lair almost complete. He can get all sorts of things. He's got roaches on the way, so I'd expect to see the roaches with the speed upgrade pretty quickly. And he's also looking for opening up all sorts of angles of attack. He takes down another bit of destructible debris right there, so he can attack from that direction, and of course he can attack from this direction. And since that's fairly close to his hatchery, he should be able to get there nicely, especially if he starts spreading creep, which is exactly what he's doing right here. And NightEnD has had enough, pushing forward right now, as you can very clearly see. However, the army supply advantage is very, very equal one way or the other. Once the roaches come out, I would think that this mix will work well. However, NightEnD doesn't know about these roaches. He only thinks the Zerglings on the field, which right now there is, but there are roaches on the way. All Zerglings spawn right there. Look at the surround right here. There's the force field block on, and honestly, Dimaga needs to pull back immediately to make sure he doesn't lose too many. That was a lot of force field energy expended, but look at the amount of sentries he's got. You can see that NightEnd's actually sitting on 10 right now, which is going to make any kind of Zergling play really difficult to deal with. Right now you see that he's got a few more Zealots warping in. More roaches on the way, but Dimaga still lacks range. Roaches can be nailed down as easily with sentries as well, simply because they only have a range of 4. There we go, once again, look for that surround, and he's able to sneak past most of those force fields. Massive force field block in right there by NightEnD, and holding out as much as he possibly can. He should be able to hold, I would think, but there are more roaches coming in, and he's picking off sentry after sentry, and that's not a lot of ranged firepower on NightEnd's end. You can very clearly see that Dimaga has the army supply advantage, and the forces of NightEnD falling quite badly here. However, Dimaga's going to need reinforcements because those Zerglings are being completely cleaned up. Roaches moving in. Does he have the firepower to do this? He can pick off a few Zealots maybe. He can also pick off some of those sentries, but he doesn't have quite what he needs just yet. Army supply swinging in favor of Dimaga again, looking for the charge right here, trying to get the Zerglings through, and there's a nice force field block off right there by NightEnD. Very little firepower coming down on those sentries as well from Dimaga. He needs to do an awful lot better than that. He's got to break through there, but of course he can't. Zergling's not really able to get through, and by the time they actually reached it, it's barely worth the effort. Trying to take out the proxy pylon right now, and Dimaga is going to be a little bit of trouble if he continues this pressure right here, if NightEnD is able to get some good warp-ins. Admittedly, Dimaga's got this great economic advantage. He can keep building. Down it goes. Roach is able to eliminate that proxy pylon, and Dimaga with an excellent force coming up right here, looking for that speed upgrade, looking for +2 melee as well, so it's going to be Roach Zergling mix, and looks to try and get this around. How much energy is left on those? Not a huge number. He might be able to get in there and do some damage. That's exactly what he's able to do at the back right there, as you can very clearly see. Those Roaches are able to attack unimpeded. Now NightEnD getting gutted right here. GG, ladies and gentlemen, there you go, and Dimaga is back in the fight. One apiece in this best of 3 series.